Hello, and welcome to the BlinkCast Podcast. My name is Chris.
I'm Reed.
And I'm Christian.
And let's get started.
Well, there's one thing I want to mention about campus news before we get started. HVZ sign-ups start Monday, and I'm really psyched up for the two-week game.
It's going to be freaking awesome. If anyone out there is listening, sign up now. Well, on Monday, but
don't sign up now, or if you're listening to this, like 6 months afterwards.
You never know.
So, in gaming news, I think my favorite topic would be EA. Their CEO is stepping down.
Yep, and they've already decided on a new CEO. Apparently, he's giving out some free games.
Yes, for Sims, all the people who purchase SimCity can get. There's actually a few good games they can get, but the one I thought was the funniest was you can get SimCity 4. So while you're waiting to play SimCity, you could be playing your SimCity.
Okay.
Did they at least give out Sims 3? Because you could have a city, and then you could build a family inside of it.
But if you had Sims 3, you wouldn't need SimCity.
Right.
No, you get 2 screens and 2 desktops. You play them both at the same time because they're both equally lazy.
Yeah, they are.
Hey, come on, you have to admit, you have to have lost your life at least once in a game of Sims, but then as soon as you get everything going just right for your guy, that's when you get bored. Like, oh, he's not having troubles anymore.
Yeah,
he's got a roof over his head. This is boring as shit.
Exactly, we gotta kill this guy.
Yeah.
His child's a butt.
For instance, taking some fireworks, putting them, inside the house, inviting a bunch of people over, and then, deleting the doors. And then light off the fireworks and have a ball. Last man standing wins. He'll also still burn to death because there's no way out.
I think I modded my game, but I made a pool and I put a shark in it and had my guy go swimming.
I made the mistake of deleting my guy using a cheat code because it said like he was supposed to come back, but at the time he was Frankenstein because he drank this weird potion. This is like back in the original Sims. So
Making magic?
Yes, making magic. He drank a potion, turned into Frankenstein. He started breaking shit in the house, and I'm like, I don't want you to do that, so I deleted him, and he just never came back. Like, oh, my wife ain't gonna like this. But then I deleted her too, and then it was just an empty house.
Wait a minute, did the game actually stop for you, or what?
It stayed constantly paused because I guess not constantly paused, constantly and fast forward because there was no one at the house, so I assumed either they were all sleeping or all at work, so it just constantly fast forwarded, so I just watched the house age. Also, the garden gnomes came to life because, magic, and they started making wine.
What?
Dude, play Sims Making Magic. That Making Magic was the entire reason I played the original Sims.
Yeah, it was the best expansion for it ever.
Basically, imagine like Hagrid comes to your house one day, is like, you're a wizard, all of you. And that's the entire thing. And then you get to go to like this big wizard place where everyone hates you and they all want to kill you with spells, and you get to buy like weed and pixie dust and and then you can make garden gnomes come to life and make them do your bidding, but they can rebel against you if you're too mean to them.
I might have to check this out.
Oh, and the best one, some guy comes to your house pissing you off, or the mailman's coming over with some bills, cast a banish spell on him. He disappears into a void and is not seen for weeks.
Wait, but do you have to pay your bills still?
Not if I vanish them into the void. Of course, every spell can go wrong, which also, if you're going to banish someone to the void and you accidentally banish yourself, it kind of sucks.
Well, yeah. Just be like, oh, I'm going to banish you as... Fuck.
Or, like, turn yourself into a garden gnome.
That'd be hilarious.
Like, which one am I? I forget. I don't know which one I should sell.
You end up selling yourself.
Oh, no. Anyways, Sims rant. That was long.
Yeah.
Well, that's Sims for you.
Yeah, it's a fun game until you play it for a few hours.
Yeah.
And then you start over, and then you start over, and then you start over.
Yeah, that's where I got my rating fix. I played some Sims. I was like, okay, I want to play this game, but I don't want to wait around and make money. So I put the game on constant fast forward, and I just start writing, and I forget to feed my characters.
I'm one of those guys who's like, and cheat code, infinite money, build a mansion. This mansion is awesome. Well, I think my job's done here. Delete. Let's start over.
I don't get why people like using cheat codes. It's more fun just to grind your way through a game.
Yeah.
Not always. It depends. In The Sims, if I'm going in there, it depends what I'm doing. If I actually legitimately want to play The Sims, no, I don't use cheat codes. If I want to just build the mansion of my dreams and have a party and then burn it to the ground, I'm going to use cheat codes. Because you know what? That's the fun part, is burning it all down afterwards.
The only game I'll ever use cheat codes for is GTA. Because you get infinite guns and then infinite ammo, and you just spin around shooting people for hours.
Oh yeah, GTA was the first game that I legitimately just printed. No, Donkey Kong Country is the first game I printed out a cheat sheet for. But GTA is probably the one I used it most. It was especially easy on the PC version because you literally just type stuff in. I want a jetpack. Type in, Jumpman or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Rocket Man, that's what it was.
I played Champions in Norath, if you remember that game.
I don't.
What was that?
It's a PS2. It was one of the first PS2 games. It's a top-down RPG. You had 4 friends, and you played through this world. It's a crazy long game. I think it took me and my friends 50 hours to beat the game, and we were 4 people. But there's a cheat code in the game that you press certain buttons like you would, and it would make you automatically level 20, which is the max level. And then you go around and you just kill everything.
I would love that cheat code for every MMO. And skip the boring leveling process.
Exactly.
Well, that's why you play League of Legends or Guild Wars. Come on now.
Guild Wars is awesome because the leveling takes no time at all.
Guild Wars 1 took no time at all.
Well, yeah, because there's only 20 levels. I remember getting I got to max level and I'm like, why am I not leveling up anymore? Oh, that was it? Awesome. More minions.
Yes, Mini Master in Guild Wars 1 was overpowered like crazy.
Add that with an addition to Monk so you can heal them to keep them alive and just repeatedly spawn.
No, what you do is you go touch Ranger, because Rangers, they deal extra damage for touch spells, and then you get all these spells that do lifesteal from Necromancer. So you'd run up to a person, just touch them 5 times, and they'd die, and you'd have full health.
Yeah.
The original Guild Wars was a fun game.
Well, PvP was fun. The actual playing the online part was grinding, because it was all instances, and you had to build a group of people, and you just went through areas.
Yeah, I know. That was kind of a letdown when I had a few friends play, and they're like, where's everyone else? Oh, it's not really an MMO. It's kind of like an interactive lobby with big areas you can explore with friends. It's not really like a everyone is everywhere type of thing.
Well, that's why I liked Guild Wars 1, because that way no one could kill your farm. You could go around...
But they fixed that in Guild Wars 2. No one can kill your farm. You just go up and attack it, and it's yours.
Which is why they had to fix it, because everyone from Guild Wars 1 liked that about it.
Yeah.
And no one likes it when it's on World of Warcraft.
No, I don't get the concept of farming. I mean, I get it, I just think it's boring.
Oh, yeah. Well, Guild Wars 2, they got rid of that completely. The way
I disagree. There's still, thousands of people out there, why are you just standing in this one place? Oh, because I'm trying to get vials of blood. And just repeatedly stands there all day, slashing at the same enemies.
You can just wander around the first level areas, killing everything, and they'll
My
drop
bank,
that.
I have 250 of it, which is the maximum you can store in your bank. And I have never once just sat there and grinded them. It's just oh, it's full. Well, I guess I'll just sell whatever I get now. Because I'm probably not going to need more than 250 of them.
No, I craft like crazy.
Yeah, I have every profession. Or, sorry.
You can
what
only
are they
get
called?
2.
Crafting skills. Well, I have 8 characters.
Oh, yeah.
That makes sense then.
Whatever. But let's skip that. We have to talk. We should still talk about EA, because...
Yeah, that's actual news.
Yeah, that's actual news. We've been going on a Guild Wars rant like we always do.
Every friggin' time.
Hey, maybe you should get Guild Wars, and then you can be like, guys.
And then we'll just rename it the Guild Wars 2 podcast, and everyone will be happy.
But yeah, EA's new CEO, he said that he's gonna follow along the same footsteps And the main criticism that I've heard from the past CEO was that, okay, he wanted to get it into the new age. They wanted to get mobile, all that fun stuff in. First off, they went too far. And second off, they didn't go fast enough for the other CEOs. Like, the board of directors, they're like, okay, you're doing this right, but you're not getting it done. So we're going to fire you and get someone that can actually get it done fast enough.
Yeah. I don't know. The way he stepped down made me happy because actually reading, basically, he basically said he failed, and that's why he was stepping down.
Well, let's see. His biggest project was SWORD, Star Wars: The Old Republic,
and it
tanked.
Oh god, I still remember playing that for a couple of months. It was like, wow, this is actually really fun. Until I started fighting things, I'm like, wow, this is boring as hell. The only reason I kept playing
was the
story, and it's like everything in between, talking to other people.
Grinding.
I was like, I always got sad, like, awesome, a new guy to give me a quest. I go up and talk to him, and as soon as the conversation's over, I'm like, damn it, now I have to go do the quest. But after I'm done, I can go talk to him again.
But yeah, well, that MMO, they got their origin out on the internet. People had to download it to get the game. They were entering into the MMO market. If it actually partially succeeded, like they could still keep the subscription, keep people making money, it wouldn't have been a bad idea.
I think half the reason it failed was actually because of the subscription fee. Think of it in terms of MMOs with subscription fees.
There's
you
only
have
one that
World
succeeds.
of Warcraft. One that I don't know if you guys know of named Rift.
Oh, I've heard of that, yeah.
I've heard of
That's
And-
also by AreaNet.
Is it by ArenaNet?
I think so.
No, it's by... I can't even remember. It's not by...
That's right, Aeon's by AreaNet. Sorry.
And those are the only two that I can think of that are still subscription-based.
And make money.
Yeah, and Rift isn't exactly doing super well, but it's keeping itself up, which is quite surprising. Rift was a really good game, actually. It was a WoW clone, but it was really good at being a WoW clone. It was spot on. There was things in that game that felt way better than WoW did. Like, wow, the buttons are more responsive. And that's pretty damn impressive, because WoW's buttons were really responsive.
Well, I don't know.
So, I mean, if you're going to make a subscription-based game, guess who your competitor is? World of Warcraft. That's the only person you are competing with, and you will get crushed.
Yep.
So, go free-to-play. Go buy to play. One of the two.
One of the two, and maybe you'll succeed, maybe...
I think no matter what, you'll actually make some sort of profit. Even look at something like DC Universe Online.
Oh, yeah.
It's not the most glorious MMO ever, but that game's making them a butt ton of money. And I myself admit to buying little Christmas hats around Christmas time for my hero. Nothing beats my villain running around with big giant spikes and a Santa hat.
Merry Christmas.
And glowing eyes.
It's kind of like the Futurama Santa.
Yes. Only I shoot lightning.
Oh, man.
I'll stuff your stockings.
With evil.
I forgot the punchline. It's supposed to be all shove coal so far down your stockings that you'll be coughing up diamonds.
Honestly, I don't understand why the indie market doesn't enter the MMO market.
Price. MMOs are the most expensive type of game you can actually build.
Yeah, well, all those engines are coming out really cheaply now. You got HeroScape.
Yeah, I mean, there's the Steampunk MMO, which the name escapes me, and it is an indie-made MMO. It's, I forget, I think it might use Unity.
Yeah, Unity's coming out with a pretty awesome MMO engine. I don't know if it's free for everyone yet, but...
But, I mean, there is several indie MMOs out there. I mean, things like MapleStory.
Are you kidding me? That's not indie.
Isn't it?
No, it's because the company that makes it, they have like 8 other MMOs out there.
Really?
Yeah.
It was so shitty. I just kind of assumed it was just it was like 2 guys in their basement making it.
No, that game has been out there for like 12 years, and it's been free to play most of the time. And they've been making money off of that thing like crazy.
How?
Little kids with their mom's credit cards.
It's so terrible, though.
People like playing
Even
it.
when I was a kid, I'd have been like, screw this, I'm going to RuneScape. Come on, RuneScape was where it was at back then.
Yeah.
I started on Conquer, if you ever played that game.
I have not even heard of it.
It's a 2D isometric game, so it's partial 3D. And
Oh, those are cool.
Yeah.
yeah, and And no, they had a really weird class system. They had the hunters, they had the Trojans, they had the water mages, and they had the fire mages. So water mages healed people, fire mages killed people, rangers, those guys farmed like crazy because they had an AoE spell that would hit everything on the map. And then the Trojans got these 2 swords and they're like, oh hey, I'm gonna kill everyone.
They were also great in the sack.
Yes.
Not really, because they died too fast.
I'm sorry, what? From that? It's like a praying mantis. Halfway through, he's dead. So he's still going, but he's dead.
Oh, God.
But yeah, it was a grindy kind of game, but it was kind of fun. I mean, I met a lot of cool people on there.
Yeah, I think that is one of the biggest sins of an MMO, though, is grinding at this point. Especially if you're going free to play, the nice thing about that is you don't have to make it grindy, because if the user runs out of content, guess what? He might stop playing, and now he's not taking up space on your server. So you're not even really that concerned about it. As long as you have... They've reported that I believe it's 95% of people who play a free-to-play MMO never buy anything. It's the 5% that do that actually are able to support the game, because they end up paying more than $15 a month.
Yeah, I could definitely see that happening.
Yeah, I mean, I'll admit, every time a holiday comes around, Guild Wars 2, they throw out some, like, hey, here's some mini pets, and I'm like, oh, I gotta collect them all. And I spend $20, and there we go. I got all the mini pets I want. I'll spend $20 every holiday on Guild Wars 2, because I think I've invested my time in it, and I like it.
Yep, pretty much the same thing for me. I got Guild Wars 1. There was no item market until, like, 8 years in.
Yeah.
And the only thing I ever bought in Guild Wars 2 was more storage space, because I had 5 chests worth of stuff filled with green rare items I was trying to sell. But the best thing about it was for holidays they gave out these special items that were like death penalty reduction and increased movement speed. I would just farm that like crazy, keep them in my storage, and then sell them like half a year later for twice the profit.
Oh yeah, you can still do that in Guild Wars 2. I'm still waiting for some of the things from the Christmas events to just go up massively in price like they have for the Halloween one.
Yeah, that always happens. Especially with those event items. So, MMO developers make event items, you'll increase the productivity of your economy by a ton.
Yeah, just as long as you don't make something a grind, people are more apt to just keep coming back and repeatedly playing it, and chances are they'll be willing to throw down a little bit of money for something, because it's like, well, I already have everything else, so I want this too, because then otherwise I don't have everything. If you're like me, you want everything. Like, you want to beat the game.
Like, I've played this really old MMO. It's called Puzzle Pirates.
I've heard of that, sadly.
Yeah, it's super old. The majority of the players are really old adults. Like, they like puzzle games, so they play that. Okay. And there's little kids that play it because their moms think that it's definitely not that bad, and it's not. I mean, unless you find racy adults that do everything.
Yeah, I always consider any game with voice chat to be M-rated.
No, not voice chat. It's all text chat, but it's ship chat.
Okay, so, anything with multiplayer, M-rated.
So you have like 120 people in a ship, and then you go off and you do some dungeon where you have one person piloting the ship, you have 20-some people making the sails go faster, 5 people loading up cannons, and then you get 40 people ready to board enemy ships, and then you just go around, you fight the ships, you board them, you take all their money, and you hope that you get out alive. Because your ship captain is not an idiot.
Yeah.
So, while we're on the topic of MMOs here, how about we talk about the Elder Scrolls Online? That beta is supposed to be here by the end of the month.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm not very excited for it.
Really? Why not?
Well, first off, you have 3 different ways that you can go with MMOs. First off, you have the turn-based style like it would be in RuneScape. Yeah. Second off, there's the...
Or World of Warcraft, technically.
Yeah. And Guild Wars, that's technically what it is, too.
Yeah, it is.
Second off is you have the physics-based, which is like Invictus, but that game lags like hell.
I guess I have had the opposite problem. I get like 400 frames a second in that game.
No, it lags like ping-wise.
Oh, I guess I've never had that problem. I've only played with people that were like in the same room as me.
Oh, yeah. See, that's the problem with it. it's
The combat in that game is glorious. There's nothing better than beating your enemies to death with other enemies.
or you can just pick up any item in the game and use it.
It's like, oh look, a giant pillar twice the size of my body. I'm fine. I'll pick that up, chuck it at him. But once again, that game is a grind.
Yep.
I strangely found myself getting into the story of it. No idea why.
Or you could end up having it turn-based, like, I forget what the game is called.
Is it a Final Fantasy?
No, it's like a Final Fantasy, but it's MMO, and you have nine henchmen that follow you around, and it's turn-based. So one person attacks and the other person attacks, and you get Vikings that attack the front line.
All right.
You have spearmen that go 3 people back. Warriors that do a shit ton of damage to one person.
And what's your last one then?
That's it. Turn-based. You have strategetic style. Or,
I think that's the nice thing with the increase in technology, though, is we're getting beyond that. I mean, look at games like Terra. Terra is got actual. I don't particularly like the combat because it makes you stand in place for the animation whenever you swing.
Which is why it's turn-based. Well, it's
but
like
no,
a
it's not. But it's not really, because every time you click, your guy swings. So it's based on, every time you right-click, your guy will dodge. I mean, it depends what you define as turn-based. Something like, say, World of Warcraft, your guy can't attack until X amount of time is up. And even in Guild Wars 2, it's better because that one attack, you can always keep swinging.
See, it's always going to be a turn-based kind of style like World of Warcraft, but it's depending on how fast their servers react and how fast they let you attack.
So, I mean, if you really want to get down to it, anything could be considered turn-based because you have to take turns hitting each other.
Souls.
Look, we're not going to talk about Dark Souls right now. That game has put me in a dark place.
I see what you did there.
I actually didn't mean to make that pun, but thank you for making me look more funny than I really am.
Well, Chris is your wingman.
Yeah.
Don't you know it?
So,
but
Chris, what is your definition? Well, not definition of an MMO, but what kind of MMO would you like to see Elder Scrolls to be like?
Honestly, if they could somehow manage to pull it off, like, I highly doubt this would happen, but if they could just make it so that you could do everything you can in, like, Skyrim, and just do it in an MMO style.
That is their main goal, though. That is what they've said is their main goal. Obviously, that's not possible. That literally is not possible. But they're trying to make an experience very close to that, even down to things like, how in Skyrim, if you hop on top of a table and run across it and the dishes fly everywhere, they're going to put that in the game. But it's local side for you. So, meaning if you run around, you mess up everything, other players will walk in there and they'll still see things the way they have left it. So that interaction is still there.
Right. Well, I could see how that happens. Like, they have a permanent map on the server, and it loads up every time that someone goes into the map. It loads up as the original map, but it saves it on a computer as a different file.
Or it saves it server side because obviously you can play it from any computer and it'll be the same.
Right.
I don't think that would work because that would take up a lot more space than necessary.
Every character in every MMO ever isn't saved on your computer. It's saved on...
No, not character, but if you have to upload every personal map for a person onto the server.
Same with Skyrim. Skyrim does that. Skyrim saves the position of each and everything, and the save file's not...
That's saved locally, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, is even if it's only like 10 megabytes, 100 megabytes... The chances are they can afford a pretty damn... You've seen their server rooms? They have an entire building dedicated to it.
I know. If I was making the Skyrim game, I'd put more money toward the bandwidth so that you could actually get people to play reliably.
Well, that's the thing, is they have this technology they're calling Mega Server, which basically means there is no server list. Everyone plays on the exact same server, and they have phasing technology that they're using... which basically, before you start the game, you get to fill out a little questionnaire, like, what do you like to do? Well, I like to PvP, I don't like playing with other people, I just want to play with my guild or my friends, and it'll do that for you. It'll put you in, it'll phase out everyone else. So
it's going to kind of be like MAG, because they had a server radius where they would only give you data from that big of an area. It would limit lag time.
Kind of, like you'd walk into, in between zones, much like Guild Wars, there is loading screens. And you go into that zone, and first it'll prioritize, are your friends in that zone? If so, it'll load you in with your friends. Are your guildmates in that zone? If so, it'll load you in with those guildmates. And then, lastly, it'll prioritize what you filled on that questionnaire. there are a bunch of people here who like to PvPs, or a bunch of people here who are over the age of
18.
21, 18. You know, if you want to go be a pervert. You know,
Well.
so, I mean, and they recently announced that they are going to have true first-person mode, like where you go into first person, you can see your hands, and you can actually, you know, the whole ordeal. And that is honestly one of the biggest reasons I'm excited for this, because I want to have that level of immersion in an MMO. Because no other MMO has really been about immersion.
Right.
I don't know. Have you ever played the .hack series for the PS2?
I have not, but I've been told by one of my friends repeatedly to play it.
Oh yeah, it's pretty damn epic. Actually, at the moment, the PS2 version games are like $60 online, if you can find them.
Emulator. Gotcha.
I'm not sure if there's a good, reliable PS2 emulator
There is.
yet.
Oh yeah, there is. I have one.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, to be completely honest with you, I'm attempting to take a ROM from like a PS1 or a PS2 disc and then download it onto a disc and then let me play it on my PS3. I'm hoping that would work.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it will actually. If your PS3 is not capable of playing
it's backwards compatible.
Then you should be able to stick the PS2 game in it. Yeah. So it would work just like that, because I know you can do that with like if I took a PS2 game and just stuck it in the CD drive of my computer, I can play it.
With your emulator?
Yeah. It just reads it straight. The emulator thinks that the CD-ROM drive is the CD drive of the PS2. That's the way the emulator works. I just put whatever game I want to play in and it plays it.
Dang.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, you can even do that. They even make adapters for like Super Nintendo games, NES games to a USB port. So you can actually play those old games with their original cartridges if you really want to emulate the software instead of relying on a ROM.
Yeah.
All right, companies out there, just a little tip. If you don't reamp the game and put it on the next console generation or make it downloadable, people will end up stealing it and playing the old game.
Well, at that point, it's called abandonware, and to be quite honest, I think it is perfectly legal to download abandonware.
I'm sure it's perfectly legal.
I mean, until Nintendo came out with their virtual store or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can play the old games.
That was the only way you could play the old games unless you owned that old system. And did Nintendo care?
No.
They have a little thing that says like, "Hey, don't do that," but they probably don't care. It's now that the virtual market is there, now they care. Because it's like, well, you could go emulate, but you could buy it from us for $5.
I would definitely buy it from another company if they had it available.
Yeah. I mean, the problem is emulators work, especially for those older games, work better half the time. For instance, my PS2 emulator, I can run it in 1080p versus an actual PS2, which runs in like half of that.
But the real question is does the graphics support it? Like, do they have the highest?
It actually does. It does some games, the aspect ratio it doesn't like. It's because some of them were made for 4:3, but a lot of PS2 games were made for a widescreen, and they had a widescreen version and a, much like you'll find older DVDs with a standard definition and high definition version. The same with, I know like there's Metal Gear was that way. There's a few PS2 games that came in that format. So you just have to find the right download.
Yeah.
Or actually own the game. See, that's the nice thing about disc-based games. You can just pop it in and away you go.
Yep, which is why people like consoles.
Yeah. I mean, it's sad because even I have a Wii emulator as well. I'm admitting to all my sins today. I have a Wii emulator as well, and it works better than a Wii does. So
question: does it use the dongle remote thing? I don't know.
The nunchuck.
The nunchuck. That's it.
Yeah, it actually uses the Wiimote and Wii nunchuck. I use them on my computer. I don't have to plug them in or anything. My computer has Bluetooth, and that's what the remotes use.
So why don't these companies hire the people making the emulators?
I don't know, because seriously, like on the Wii, I downloaded some Wii games and it was like, oh my god, it's so pixely, so blurry, like this is the resolution of the Wii? I didn't even notice that, probably because I was sitting like 20 feet away from it, on the couch.
Yeah.
So I look in the emulator settings like, oh, there's a setting for anti-aliasing, there's a setting to up the rendering resolution 4 times what the Wii does, and literally I got it so high that I was able to get some sort of lag below 60 frames a second from a Wii game on my computer. It's like, wow, why does it work better here?
I don't know, maybe physics works better in your room.
can I support them by just buying their games? And I just say, well, I own the console. I just don't want to play it on your console.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I'm no. That's a gray area. I definitely don't want the Congress
that
to
really
figure
is
out
a
laws.
It's not a gray area, actually. I actually emailed Nintendo about this once because I was curious, because you can see it all over the internet. When you go to a ROM site, it'll say, hey, don't download these unless you own the real game. Wink, wink. We don't really care. Wink, wink. And I'm like, is that really true? So I emailed Nintendo about it, and I got a response saying, though many sites claim that it's okay to download the ROM as long as you own the real game, we do not support that. It is illegal. So that is actually illegal.
Okay, well, let's stop admitting to crimes publicly on the air.
Yeah, Christian.
So who here has pirated music? Oh, wait. Everyone in the United States. Gotcha.
I have not pirated music. iTunes with my mom's credit card.
My parents taught me how to pirate music.
Yeah.
A little program called Kazaa Lite.
Kazaa Lite? Never heard of that one.
Followed by Emule. Yes, that was a big program. Well, because no one knew it was illegal back then. It was like cigarettes. It was like, oh, these things are pretty great. Good. I'm glad they're not bad for my health. And then like a year later, like, oh, by the way, they'll kill you. Well, it was the same with Kazaa. It's like, hey, look, this is how you get free music. And then like a year later, by the way, it's illegal.
Then you start getting people that get caught and they fine them $500,000.
Actually, there's very few people who've gotten caught for pirating, and usually when they do, it's just like a slap on the wrist. Though they have tried to make an example. I know they fined one, it was like a 16-year-old boy, they fined him for $1 million, which pretty much ruined his life.
Oh, yeah.
Because now he has no way to pay it, and no matter how much money he makes in his life, he'll end up giving it to the government.
Yeah, because isn't like the average person making $1 million in their lifetime?
Somewhere around that, yeah. So literally, this ruined this kid's life just because he used BitTorrent.
Yeah.
It's like, wow. I think a slap on the wrist, like, okay, he was an exceptional case. He'd like torrented everything on his computer, but like there wasn't a thing on his computer that he owned.
I know. I heard about my parents have this friend, and their daughter is going to college over in like New York.
Yeah.
She got caught torrenting music in their college's library, and the college themselves fined her.
Wow.
It was like $5,000.
Back at my old college, BSC, they had this thing on our laptops that we had to install before we could use their internet service that actually detected all the torrenting programs, and if any of them were on the computer, it would refuse to let you on the internet.
Interesting.
So they just blocked it.
That's actually a half decent idea for people at DSU.
Yeah, they just blocked it right from the source. Like, there you go. And especially because all the people at DSU actually are given laptops. That back at BSC, we had to bring our own.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I mean, here they have a lot more control over it because it's like, don't have enough money for a laptop? Enjoy the piracy control.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure if that's exactly gonna work because I hear video game majors have to download games and play them.
Yeah. We have to do that.
Wait a minute, what games? Do you have to use an emulator or?
Yeah. Well, the thing is BitTorrent has a lot more uses than pirating. BitTorrent is actually not designed for pirating.
Well,
it was designed for a new way.
It
was designed for a new way to download things, and it did work. It downloads things faster than a standard direct download does. Problem is people abused the shit out of it because it made it very hard to track when you had 500 sources that you were downloading from at once.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Almost all programs that are being made right now are legal under the freedom of speech laws because they're not technically being made to break the law. It's just being made because people can make them.
Well, yeah, the guy who invented dynamite didn't intend it make it to do any damage.
Exactly.
He just wanted it to. He just wanted it to use to dig, and now there's grenades.
Yep. And guns.
I mean, yeah. Man, if he thought it was bad that his dynamite was getting used, he'd be ashamed when he saw that nuke go off.
Wait a minute, didn't he get like a Nobel Award or something like that?
Yeah, a Nobel Award. It's better than having a Nobel Award. This is a New Bell Award. This is what they give the new people. This is what they gave Obama. The New Bell Award.
Well, isn't that what they gave Clarence in It's a Wonderful Life? A new bell.
It's just give him like a cowbell. It's like, here you go. It's a new bell. Plenty of cowbell.
So wait a minute. If every bell rings and an angel gets its wings, does that mean that every piece of dynamite that blows off and Devil gets his horns?
Maybe. Never
People
know.
stop using dynamite. We're giving more devils their horns.
Yeah. Instead, just use bombs. It's much, much less efficient. Less controlled blast and more boom.
Boom.
More boom for your buck.
There you go. So anyways, back to Elder Scrolls Online. It looks like they're... I was really worried at first because it looks like they were just making insert generic MMO here, and they still kind of are to some degree because I was excited when they said it's Skyrim combat. And I've always thought that a combat of like Oblivion and Skyrim is so simplistic, it would be easy to adapt to an MMO.
No.
It's literally point and click. You point at something, you click on it, after a set delay, the sword will be there. It doesn't base it on the length of your sword. It doesn't do anything like that. It knows how long the sword is. It doesn't base it on the animation. You could take out the sword animation, and it would still function the same.
Okay, now I'm disappointed in Elder Scrolls, because I actually thought the weapons mattered.
No, it doesn't actually. You'll notice if there's 3 people in front of you, and you could swing the biggest damn sword you want, it'll only hit the one you're pointing the cursor at, because it has a single hit that it bases. It knows when the animation will be at the point where it's supposed to hit. So every time, it'll hit at the same place.
So basically, there's going to be one really overpowered weapon, a.k.a. the daggers.
Depends. In Oblivion, not as much. In Skyrim, yeah. Especially with 10 times critical or whatever that was. 15 times sneak
20.
chance. Was it? It's some way OP thing that kills everyone in one hit. And sneak has been overpowered since the Elder Scrolls came out. So, but... So I'm like, this would be really easy to adapt for an MMO. It's literally point and click. I mean, look at PlanetSide 2. It has actual guns and physics and bullets traveling through the air. Right. So it shouldn't be that hard to basically just have it only hits him if he's in front of you. That doesn't sound that hard. But they're like, yeah, it has that. I'm like, cool. And then they mentioned, and there's this thing called soft targeting. Like, what's this now? You shouldn't have to target anyone. I mean, if I aim at them, I should hit them. Well, it's like, if you're using an arrow, it's like, okay, so maybe it's like Guild Wars 2. But, maybe can you move out of the way of the arrow? Like, if it's coming towards you, you can move no, it homes in on you. And that's when I got really lost hope. So it's like every MMO ever. I hate that. That is the number, in WoW, I cannot count the number of times in PvP. It's like I'm running away from a bullet, and I oh, don't worry, I'll dodge it, and I move to the left, and all of a sudden the bullet redirects its direction. What is going on? He's a magic hunter. I just imagine he's over there using the Force. He's like,
okay. This is one of the reasons why I like League of Legends, because you can actually dodge skill shots.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that and in Guild Wars 2 you can actually
some of them, not all.
Some of them, but none of them. Well, actually, almost all of them. It's just that a lot of them are so fast that there's not actually a chance to. But for instance, I'm a necromancer. That necromancer's grasp on the staff. I don't know why I talk with my hands so much. No one can see it. But the necromancer's grasp on the staff, and it's worthless because unless the enemy stands still, it won't hit them. If they even move 2 inches, it'll just go right by them. So, and I mean, if someone got in the way of the arrow in Guild Wars 2, it hits the guy who got in the way. Not in the case of Elder Scrolls Online. This exact question was asked, can someone say you have a healer, can he be surrounded by warriors to protect him? No. Because they can just click on the healer and fire arrow, and it'll just go right through the other guys and hit him. It's like, that is against...
Stupid.
That is a step back from what I'm used to now. See, that's the thing about MMOs, is people are just going to flock to whatever one is
the best
at the time. And right now, I think it's big between Guild Wars 2 and WoW. Obviously, WoW is winning, but that's just because WoW's been around forever.
Yeah. WoW has been around almost as long as I've been alive.
You're only 8?
I'm only 8
WoW's been around for I think it's actually 9 years now. It's only been around for 9 years.
I thought it came out in 2000 or something like that.
It did around that time, but Look, I don't know how old you are, but if you're in college,
I'm 13. I have a really high-pitched voice, and I do not play Call of Duty because I don't like those kids.
Damn kids.
I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you with my gun, you motherfucker.
And then I use my voice-enabling chat, and I make my voice really deep like this.
It sounds like I'm really an adult, even though I'm 5 years old.
But so my excitement dropped quickly for that because I thought like, oh, it's gonna be like Elder Scrolls Arrows. No. I mean, I can understand why they wouldn't want to do Elder Scrolls Arrows. I can understand because it would take so long to draw and actually hit. Yeah. But if they made it faster to draw and faster to get the arrow there, like it was almost instantaneous, I would have been happy with that. Because that's basically what a gun is. I mean, you point at something, you shoot, like in PlanetSide 2, you point and shoot at something. Yeah, you have to trail him by like a centimeter because if he's moving right, it takes the bullet, 1/100th of a second to get there. Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of the same concept. If PlanetSide 2 can do it, why can't Elder Scrolls Online?
I don't know, budgeting maybe? Yeah. Oh, maybe they're using the Hero Escape engine again.
They are. They're using Hero, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, Sword was made with that, too, so...
Yeah, I know. That's what I was really nervous about when I heard.
Well, the engine itself is cheap, and it's half decent. I'll give it that. It's a pretty decent engine compared to what's out there.
The biggest problem that's always been brought up with it, and it was brought up in Tor, I remember that, lag. The ability lag, specifically. Yeah. Clicking on an ability and not having it happen until even just half a second later. It might not sound like much when you say half a second, but when you're fighting, it's really annoying because your character's still doing something that you had told him to do a little while ago.
Yeah, well, I don't know. There's not many more engines out there that can actually do stuff. I mean, there's another engine out there made by Dark Games, and it's horrible. You can barely fit 6 people on a screen at once without it lagging out.
See, once again, that's another reason indies have a tough time with these things is a lot of indies just either use Unreal Engine or Unity, or they make their own engine, and those end up usually being the most successful ones. You've seen it with, like, I believe Magica was made with an in-house engine, and, those ones that are specifically designed for one purpose. Downside is you can't really reuse them for your next game, and that's why a lot of indies flock to an engine because it's cheaper. It's much, much cheaper, and when you're working under those conditions, you want cheap.
I don't know. I'm personally for the homemade engines.
Yeah, like I am too, but at the same hand, I know that that's not possible for some people. Like, we don't have... I mean, like, look at Overgrowth. They're making... I forget the name of the company. Wow. The guys who are making Overgrowth right now, Wolfire Games. There we go. Yeah. They've been making this engine for years now, and they're still not done with even the engine. And they're raising funding by releasing little mini games along the way. But not every studio can do that. Not every studio can afford to just sit there for years making an engine for their game.
Red Wolf Project. They made their own engine for, I think it's, what is it, The Witcher 2?
You mean CD Projekt?
Oh yeah, that's it. CD Projekt.
Yeah. Or is it CD Projekt Red? Red CD Projekt, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. It's a Swedish company, but they made their own engine for the second game.
Yeah, they're actually going to be licensing. They've made a new one now for The Witcher 3, which is coming out. And they are talking, I just read this in the news today, they're talking about licensing that engine out for other people to use. Honestly, I don't know if we're talking like Unreal level of like, here, just everyone can use it for free. If you want to commercialize it, pay us some royalties. I don't know if it's going to be that or if it's just going to be one of those like...
I bet you it's like a set price, maybe $200, $300, and then you get all the rights to the engine itself.
Yeah. I like that a lot better than things like Unreal's agreement. I don't know if you know about that. They charge you for the engine, to license a game, and then I believe it's the first $50,000 of your income from that game is theirs.
So wait a minute, most indie companies won't even make money that way, right?
Well, the thing is, most indie companies are on PC, and when you have a game on PC, it lasts forever if it's on Steam. I mean, 10 years from now, there'll still be sales on old games. I have the original Doom on Steam. I bought it, and you know where that money went? to the developers of not obviously of the original Doom, but of id, the company that produced the original Doom. So I mean, they're still making money off of these things. So
Cool.
you have to assume that after a while, they might. I mean, some companies. There was actually, I forget who it was, but he had made a $200,000 game, and it had been 2 years, and he had not seen a cent of money from it until now. Because, yeah, I mean, it's crazy the way it works with these royalty fees.
Yeah.
Unity is a lot nicer about that. It's just, you want to license the game, pay us X amount of money, and there you go. Just pump out games.
Yeah, honestly, I'd rather go with Unity. They're actually on the newer edge of technology at the moment.
Yeah. Well, Unreal 3 is still a very nice engine.
Oh, yeah.
It's just Unreal 4 is coming out, and I have a feeling it's going to kick Unity's ass. So,
Yeah.
as much as I do like Unity, I have a feeling Unreal 4 is probably...
So, the way I see it
gonna be
is
the way to
that
go.
if a company has enough money to use Unreal, it's going to use it. But smaller companies are going to use things like Unity and stuff, and they're going to release the PS3 and the computer, while people that use Unreal is going to release it to Xbox, Wii, everything.
Yeah. And that and Unreal is a more well-known engine. There's a lot more people that know it.
I'm not sure about that.
I'm fairly certain. If you look up the numbers, Unreal is the most used engine.
It's most
Period.
used because bigger games have been made with that earlier. But I'm pretty sure Unreal has a better system and everything. It's just that most people won't use it, especially for the bigger made games.
Well, no, there's two different things. There's the actual Unreal engine, and there's the Unreal Development Kit. Most games are just made with the Unreal Development Kit. Games like Gears of War were made with the Unreal engine, where they have the ability to modify the engine in any way they see fit. They get the source code of the engine. That costs a butt ton of money. So that is for AAA developers only.
Right.
Okay.
So the Unreal Development Kit is mainly what we're talking about here.
I don't know. I still think most developers should make their own engine. It would make things a lot easier. They would
Not for modders. Not if you want your game to be moddable.
What about Civilization?
What was Civilization made with?
Python.
Python?
Yeah, it was made straight with Python. That has one of the biggest modding communities out there, as far as I can tell.
Yeah. Bigger than, like, Elder Scrolls?
I'm not going to say that.
Elder
But I know that
Scrolls.
people have been modding Civilization since, like, the very first one. They've actually
Yeah.
hired their lead developers from the modding nation. Like, Civilization 4 was made with the lead modder of, like, Civilization 2 or 3. And then the Civilization 5 was made with the lead modder of 3 and 4.
I really hope more companies start embracing these mods, because we've seen what a single mod can do. DayZ is a straight-out great example of that. A game that was known but wasn't very popular, Arma 2, received a mod called DayZ, and suddenly it is on the front page of Steam every day. Their sequel, Arma 3, is only an alpha, and it has been on the top seller for a week now.
Dang.
Yeah, I never even heard of Arma 2, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Arma 2, it is a military sim.
So it would be... Would you have people and control them? Or...
No, you play as a person, either in third or first person.
Okay.
And it is basically a simulation of the weapons are all simulated, the physics are all simulated, that kind of thing. It's supposed to be more about simulation than it is about fantastic gunplay. And there's actual, like, military missions. We're talking you get shot, you die.
Yeah.
Like a bullet kills you.
And you get bleeding and everything like that.
Yeah,
don't
you
heal after
actually...
5 seconds.
Yeah, you do actually. You can get hit. That's actually a mechanic in the DayZ, is they really use that bleeding, whereas if you get bit, it's like, oh, I got away from him. Too bad I got nothing to patch myself up with, and I'm just going to run around until I bleed to death. I mean, the DayZ is such a broken, buggy piece of shit. But luckily, they're working on a standalone version for it.
Yeah, I don't know. I really hope that modding communities can get into consoles. That would be pretty awesome.
I mean, we've seen that it can be done. I know the original Borderlands, I guess they were considered hacks, but they were basically mods for the original Borderlands on Xbox.
That's because they took the saved games and they put them on the computer and you could edit them whenever you wanted.
And I've done that. I did that before with other games. I did it with my Wii before. Twilight Princess, I ran into this stupid bug that literally stops you from continuing the game. stuck it in my stuck it on a USB drive, not a USB drive, an SD card, because that's what the Wii use. Stuck it in my PC, edited it, and there we go, bug fixed.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do that with a lot of games.
And Steam's already embraced it with the Steam
Workshop. Which, by the way, any company that doesn't take advantage of that is being a fool. That is the most fantastic service.
Well, I'm just saying that maybe companies like Xbox, PS3, they should add their own like workshop kind of thing.
Yeah.
And allow separate people to make homebrewed stuff and then release it on there and be like, okay, well, warning, this may not work as it's intended, but hey, you can try it out if you really want.
I really think that they're just so tight on this control factor that they're afraid to do that. Like,
well, PS3 is a little bit.
A bit more flexible.
Yeah, especially because all the indie developers are going there because they have a lot more support, they have a lot more flexibility with what they want.
Same with the Wii U, is they're giving the indies a lot more support with the Wii U with that marketplace that they've put up on there. I forget. Don't own a Wii U, so I forget what it's called.
I don't know anyone that owns a Wii U, to be honest with you.
It's because Nintendo hasn't made any games for it yet. As soon as they do, I'm probably buying a Wii U.
Yeah.
Next, Zelda.
Yeah, next Legend of Zelda, that system is going to become a #1 seller. I guarantee you. That's how it has been with every console that they've produced.
Yeah.
Honestly, I wish they would make a new IP. I mean, they have Mario, they have Donkey Kong, they have Sonic... And they have Zelda, and that's pretty much all I
think we've talked about this before, but just try and name a bad Nintendo game.
Yeah.
It's really a challenge. Not one that was on a Nintendo system. One that Nintendo made.
Right. One that Nintendo made. It'd have to be a DS game like, what is it? Mario versus... No. It's that little Mario game where you have the mini guys.
That was a really fun game.
Yeah,
I didn't like that at all.
I enjoyed it. It was basically a puzzle game.
Right.
And I enjoy puzzle games.
I know. If I really wanted to solve a puzzle, I would go play Zelda.
Exactly. I also owned Zelda for the DS. It was fantastic. Even though it wasn't near as good as any other Zelda game, it was still a great game. It's easy to name games that they have that you might not like by them, but naming one that's objectively bad...
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to do. Nintendo knows their stuff.
Yeah, Nintendo knows how to make games. They know how to make money. It's just they don't know how to keep developers with them. I mean, they have almost no third-party contributions.
Ubisoft really tried with their Zombie U, and they were pushing Rayman Legends. But after Zombie U kind of flopped for them, they stopped trusting the Wii U. And they're now Rayman Legends is being held back until
October.
Until October, so that it can be. It's already done. The game's done for the Wii U, but they won't release it because they want to release all 3 versions at the same time. Oh. And now they're decided to make it for everything else instead of being a Wii U exclusive because no one owns a Wii U.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Honestly, that's one of the worst decisions I've heard in gaming since the Virtual Boy.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Or how about how badly Duke Nukem was, the new one?
Yeah, but where did that come from?
Okay, it was 8 years in the making, that new Duke Nukem. I
thought it was 12.
It was some long number.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 12.
Yep, and...
Because I remember Duke at the beginning, he's like, well, after 12 fucking years, it better be good.
Basically, and it was not.
No, it wasn't. I was... One of my friends was so excited for that game, he had pre-ordered it, and I feel sorry for that poor son of a bitch. But, yeah, it was entertaining for the first hour. It was like, oh yeah, just running around being a badass, whatever. Oh, fuck you, kid. I'm Duke Nukem. And then I'm like, I kind of figured it would stop. Like that whole, I'm a badass, running around being a badass, and the aliens would come and it'd be like, oh yeah, now stuff gets real, now we get shooting. But that part never came. The whole game was just Duke making witty remarks and no interesting combat whatsoever. Like, turret section, followed by turret section.
Yeah.
Followed by find gas for your car. Like, I'm pretty sure Duke don't need gas. He can just...
He runs on awesomeness.
Yeah, Duke... No... tune out if you are under 18. Duke just sticks his dick into the gas nozzle, and that's... Dude, it's Duke Nukem. That is the Duke Nukem humor right there. Have you seen Duke Nukem?
I've seen it. I don't exactly want to think about what you just said.
Oh, but you
That
can't stop thinking about it.
That is how Duke fills his monster truck.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and all the little mini games. It was interesting, but at the same time, it was like I would really rather be shooting something than playing basketball here.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else that we should talk about?
I got
No.
nothing.
I think we're good for today.
All right. Well, my name is Reed.
I'm Christian.
And I'm Chris.
Have a good day.
It's been the BlinkCast Podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.